The sun had not yet fully risen when the uproar occurred. A quiet morning in the elite neighborhood of Itaewon is suddenly broken by the arrival of two figures who never expected to appear in front of the majestic gate of the house of the greatest idol of the century. A middle-aged man with steady steps and a tense face was followed by a woman who appeared to be holding Hurried behind her sunglasses. It was the father and mother of Jungkook, BTS's youngest member, the golden magne who is never far from the world spotlight. But this time, it wasn't Jungkook who was at the center of the commotion, but the presence of her parents who came in a hurry, almost like chasing something, or maybe running away from something. What exactly is behind this surprise visit? What made Jungkook's parents, who had been known to keep their distance from the public spotlight, suddenly appear without their usual strict escort? Is this a sign that something big is going to happen in Jungkook's life? Or is it the beginning of something more serious? Several internal sources who were interviewed anonymously said that this visit was not an ordinary visit. They carried large suitcases, some documents, and were even seen talking for quite some time with one of Jungkook's personal security staff in front of his house. Even one of the neighbors who had peeked out of the second-floor window said that the father's expression looked serious, with hand movements pointing towards the top floor of Jungkook's stately home. Did Jungkook's parents just find out something? Or do they convey important messages that cannot be transmitted by phone or other media? Many speculations are now growing wild, especially after the house itself some time ago had already been in the spotlight due to the luxury tax whose value made the public wide-eyed. And now, with the sudden presence of both parents, as if confirming that something was hidden, hot issues began to emerge. There are those who say that this is related to Jungkook's personal decision, which is said to change the direction of his life after completing his military service. Even some South Korean media have begun to leak news that Jungkook may not return to the entertainment world as quickly as expected. And this news, of course, makes millions of ARMY around the world flutter and torn between anxiety and disbelief. Since the beginning of the year, speculation after speculation has continued to appear. Jungkook, who has always been known as a person who values privacy, suddenly became the main topic not because of his comeback or musical achievements, but because of his home, his life, and now his family. His luxurious mansion in Itaewon, previously considered a symbol of his success and hard work, has now turned into the center of an enigma. Why is the house suddenly so much talked about? Why did his parents come in such a hurry without notice? And why, after the visit, several luxury cars came out of the garage of the house with black glass tightly closed? It didn't take long for netizens to put together various theories. Some believe that Jungkook is preparing to leave South Korea. Some say that he will move to America to live permanently with his parents. Another, much wilder theory even states that the house will be sold because there is an internal conflict within Jungkook's extended family that has been tightly closed off from the media. But behind all the rumors, one fact stuck out and thrilled anyone who read it. The house is now empty. No sign of life at night. The normally warm-burning lights now appear dim. The neighbors mentioned that since the arrival of her parents, the atmosphere in the house has changed. Some squabbling sounds in Korean were heard from behind the window the other night. And strangely, CCTV cameras around the neighborhood suddenly malfunctioned for several hours as the incident unfolded. What the hell is going on? One thing that most invites Tanya is the figure of Jungkook himself, who is not visible at all. Whereas before, even during the period of military service, he was occasionally seen around the house on leave or at certain moments. But now, not even his shadow is visible. Some netizens began to ask, is Jungkook under great pressure? Is there anything he hasn't told the army? And the saddest thing, is this a signal that Jungkook is starting to move away from the world that has been raising his name? Korean culture experts and celebrity observers began to raise their voices. According to them, the visit of parents in such a situation is not trivial. This is a very rare event, said Professor Kim Hae-jin from Dongguk University. In Korean culture, if parents come to the home of their adult and successful child, especially in a hot public situation, it usually indicates that there is a big problem that needs to be solved directly. Meanwhile, the statement from HYBE actually made the situation even more blurred. They declined to comment on Jungkook's parents' visit, saying only that nothing emergency happened. But the public just doesn't believe it. They feel that something is being covered up, something that is too big to announce now. Suspicion grew after HYBE tightened security in the area around Jungkook's house, and media were prohibited from approaching within a certain radius. What about the army? Tears, anxiety, and anger began to flood social media. The hashtags #JungkookStayStrong and #WhatHappenedToJungkook have been trending on Twitter for more than 24 hours. Thousands of fans created long threads of hope, prayer, and speculation about what really happened. Some of them even created an online petition for HYB to provide clarity on Jungkook's condition and decision. Some fans who live in Korea tried to go to Jungkook's house, but were driven away by security. One of the biggest fan accounts in Korea wrote, "We don't need to come back. We don't need a new album. We just want to know that Jungkook is okay." The sentence was spread by more than 2 million other accounts within 2 days. A proof that no matter what is going on, this has touched the deepest point in the hearts of the fans. Not just curiosity, but fear of losing a figure that has become part of their lives. If this is just a matter of ordinary family affairs, why does it feel so tense? If this was just a casual visit, why was the public made to guess without a single point of clarity? Or is this tension intentional? Is HYB preparing something much bigger, a big surprise that will even change the direction of Jungkook's career going forward? Or is it really a sign of separation that we are never ready to accept? When we look back to those glorious years when Jungkook stood on stage smiling and saying, "Army is my home," then we realize how emotional this moment was. When that house is now the center of silence, a sign in stark contrast to the spotlight he once radiated, we cannot help but fear that something big and serious is indeed happening. And when her parents came hurriedly, with heavy expressions and quick steps, the public seemed to have a clue that they were trying to save something invisible. Maybe a soul, maybe a heart, or maybe a decision that could not be reversed. Whatever was going on behind the high walls of the mansion, the world could only wait. Waiting with bated breath, waiting with anxious expectation, waiting for the clarity of the one person who has given so much light to millions. What at first seemed like an ordinary visit has now turned into a storm. The house, once a symbol of success and grandeur, is now a locked-up palace, holding stories that even the most devoted fans can't imagine. There's no music, no sign of life. There was no laughter or light from the crystal lamps that adorned the front of Jungkook's house. There is only silence. In a short time, the Korean media was filled with speculation, and the international media began to sniff there was something bigger. Outlets such as Dispatch, Sumpi, to Chinese and Japanese entertainment media began to raise this issue with no less bombastic titles. Jungkook's parents returned to Itaewon, family crisis, or Jungkook disappeared. Itaewon house is shrouded in mystery.